Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking you through how to take the skid off of your camera head and how to separate the camera head from the cable. If you need to send your camera head in for repairs or upgrading or whatever the case is, this is how you do it. So the first thing you're going to need is a few tools. You're going to need a small flathead wrench, your camera head wrench that can be found in your accessory bag on the back of your camera, and either some pliers or some channel locks. The first thing you're gonna do is take your flathead screwdriver and you're gonna back out these machine screws inside the skid. You don't need to take them all the way out, just loosen them enough on all three sides until the skid comes off of the camera head. Once you have those loosened up, the skid pops right off the top of the camera head. And this is what you're left with. Now, inside the spring, I'm looking for right there where the spring ends. Right where the spring ends at the camera head, I'm going to take my wrench, and the tip of that wrench is going to go right in the slot, right where that spring ends, and it's going to latch right there onto it. Once I get that locked on, I can hold the wrench and just twist the camera head and back it all the way out of the spring. Now, as you pull your camera head from the spring, this is what you'll see. You have your cable, you have your two aircraft cables, and now this is the next piece that you need to loosen. So this is the piece I'm going to grab with my pliers or my channel locks. I do not recommend using vice grips because this material is soft and you can gouge it pretty easily. So just light pressure with some pliers or channel locks. So I'm latching on to that piece right there, and I'm just going to back the camera head out. So once that piece drops down, you'll see the fitting with these aircraft cables, and this is exactly what I'm trying to show you here. What not to do is let these cables come loose off of that fitting. So that one is popped out. I just put it right back in place. So I have my camera head separated. Now this is what I recommend to everybody when you're doing this. Once you have this fitting, take your hand and just kind of pinch those aircraft cables into place and pull this spring down, and then take a zip tie and place it right there around the cable and around those aircraft cables. And that'll keep, if these cables come loose off that fitting, they can drop down into this spring, and it's pretty hard to get back. So have yourself a zip tie, put it right there around the cables, and that'll keep it from falling down in there. Now, putting it back together is just the same thing in the opposite way. So hopefully you had your zip tie there in place. Keep it in place. Just hold that fitting and grab your camera head and twist it until it drops right into place. From there, clip your zip tie and then drop that little nut back in and bring it up and just twist it into the camera head. And then once you get that tightened, you'll use your pliers or your channel locks to tighten that in place. It does not need to be aggressively tightened. If I take my channel locks and hold it into place, I'm just going to tighten my camera head by hand. That's as tight as it needs to go. I'm not going to put it in a vise and crank down on or anything like that. You'll never get it back loose. Now the next step is very important. If you see those aircraft cables, they're straight right now. They're straight down the side, right next to each other. If I take this camera head and just go right into the spring and start twisting them, those cables are going to twist also. As you see, they're going to start twisting around that cable, and they're going to end up binding and getting really tight in there. Now, if I have them all twisted inside there and I start pulling pressure on this spring, it can really start to do damage to the cable and to the sonde. So what we recommend is before you put this in place, turn the camera head counterclockwise about 5 or 6 times. And if you look, the cable is twisted the opposite direction. So now as I bring my camera head down into the spring and I start to turn it to the right, what I end up with are straight cables going down the side instead of them being all bound and twisted up. And that's what I'm looking for. So from there, I do the exact same thing with my camera head wrench. All right, I'm going to put it right on the end of the spring. I'm going to tighten my camera head. Now all I need to do is take my skid, drop it right back into place, tighten those 3 machine screws, and you're done.